What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best new metal podcast from two guys who were really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime wearing a matching outfit, Mr. Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great. The only reason I'm wearing white is because I totally just eclipsed the time and said, fuck it.
Whatever. We got no to impress. And joining us once again, musician extraordinaire coming us from the Great White North, the genius behind the band Ashes Like Rain, Alex. Alex, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are stoked to have you. We are stoked to talk about this album. So what we were doing this week, folks, is we're doing a deep dive. And Alex actually gave us the lead in. If you go back and listen to the last episode we were in with Alex, he talked about it. We asked how he got into nu metal and where all that came from. And his remark was, well, when I was young, one of the first things I ever picked up on cassette was, and he actually just showed us the cassette a minute or two ago, which was kind of amusing.
There you go.
There we go. Results May Vary by Limp Bizkit. So I had never heard this album. Tim, I don't know if Tim had ever heard this album. And when we said we're going to have Alex back on because he was a fun guest, we want to do a deep dive. And I said, well, why don't we do Results May Vary? Because Alex is going to come with a completely different POV. And then Tim and I had never heard it before. So Alex, explain to us, you're a young kid. Like you said, you used your parents' money to buy this cassette. Do you remember the initial experience when you first heard it? Like, what was your reaction?
Yeah. I mean, everything started with, and I think we talked about it last time. I was super big into like techno music and like the Euro pop, like the crazy thing. And I had this friend of mine and he made like mixtapes off, I guess, like downloading illegally, whatever songs. So he made like a mixtape with a bunch of songs from $3 Bill, Significant, and Chocolate Starfish. And that was around 2003, maybe the beginning of 2003. And I fell in love with Limp Bizkit. I was like, this is what I needed. I'm just like, forget about the techno stuff. I need to get into some heavier styles of music. And I was just like, and I told him, I was like, this is stuff from 97, 99, 2000. Do they have anything new? And then he was just like, they're coming out with a new album in a few months from now, which is, I think at the time they didn't really have a name. They had like Panty Sniffer, and they had like
it was like 10 different things.
Yeah. Bipolar, I think, was another one of them, like some crazy names. And then when it came out, we went and we grabbed the CD. Again, the tape, like not a, like a cassette. And I remember like I put it in the boombox. You have the intro that starts with a carnival music, whatever weird stuff, and then you have the heavy riffing coming with the first song. And I was just like, it's on. Like this is what I needed. This is the same Limp Bizkit. Then you have Eat You Alive, which again, it's heavy. It's kind of like that classic nu metal stuff. And after that, it's a roller coaster of an album, right? Because it drags you through like ballads and harder music and ballads again, and it's heavy again. But as a kid, I loved the crap out of this album. I mean, I think my favorite one was probably Down Another Day.
Okay.
As a kid, when I was 10, that was my favorite song from the album. That was like the one that I was just like, this is, it was more of a ballad, but I loved it, man. Like I loved it. Maybe it was not as, heavy as what I heard from the mixtape that he gave me, with the, I don't remember what songs. Maybe it was like Full Nelson. It was probably a part of that mixtape. Break Stuff. Maybe it was a part of that mixtape, but I loved it, man. And I remember like going online and I just remember people just destroying the crap out of this album. I was just like, why is everybody hating this album?
Right.
And then over time, I kind of understood why. When I got a lot older, I was just like, I see why people are hating this album.
Right.
But my first impression was I loved it. I still love it.
I'm
one of them. I'm one of them.
We can never hold it against anybody what their first experience, their first band, their first album. And there's always something that sticks with you. So Tim, had you heard this before we sat down to listen to this album? Like, had you ever listened to this album before?
No and yes. So no, I have not listened to it, but when I did listen to it, I said, oh, I know that song. Probably from like bartending for so long, people would put on the jukebox and shit like that. But like, I was like, oh yeah, I noticed that song. But as a full record, no, because honestly, after Significant Other, that's kind of when like the metalcore kind of, engulfed me. And so I was like, fuck Limp Bizkit. I still listen to like new metal and stuff, but I was just like, I thought I was one of them cool guys. Like, yeah, fuck Limp Bizkit.
Your taste moved on. Your taste moved on. I mean, so this album comes out in 2003. I mean, so as I was listening and doing my homework, and I think, Tim, out of all the albums that we've done a deep dive on, this is probably the earliest album we're doing a deep dive on where there's a shit ton of media you can go back and actually read on what thoughts were at the time, what the reviews were at the time, the bullshit around the name. In September of 2003, I think my wife and I we just started dating. Maybe I think we'd actually moved in together. Maybe. So like I wasn't even remotely listening to Limp Bizkit. Like, and I was definitely, it was Every Time I Die. It was all the early Ferret stuff. I wasn't interested at all for whatever reason, because the taste change as you get older. That I had never heard any song off this album. I had heard Eat You Alive referred to. I'd have heard Head for the Barricade referred to. I'd heard that they covered The Who, and I'd heard the opening. I had not heard any full song on this album. So it was really kind of a wild
experience
journey. Yeah, as I was going through this. So Tim, give us a little bit of background, and then we can start talking around like the story around the album before we start going into the individual songs.
All right. Released 9/23/2003 through Flip and Interscope. Produced by Rick Rubin, which I was very surprised to see. Also produced by Terry Date and Fred Durst. Mixed by Brendan O'Brien, who, if you're familiar with him, he's done stuff for Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all them guys, and many others. This is also the first album after the departure of Wes Borland, who came back not too long after.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when you get through this.
Yeah, so Borland said that he could have played on the record, but musically he was bored of the band, and if he continued, it would only be for money and not the music. He also said, which I very, very highly respect, he didn't want to lie to himself or the fans and pretty much fake the record because he wasn't really into it anymore. Yeah. So you got to respect that, man. Because he could have just made a shitload of money and just played the riffs that Fred wrote, but hey, fuck it. You know what I
mean? I dug into an interview with him where he said he felt like the members of the band who were his friends were starting to become like coworkers. Yeah. And his heart wasn't. And, I mean, dude, I respect that. A guy walking away, you can tell when someone leaves a band how amicable it is by how they refer to it as, Jay has left the band and Alex, as the lead singer, comes out and wishes him well. You can tell when it's fake, and you can tell when it was literally just, it came across like, I'm kind of burnt and I need to do something different. And we all know Wes is a super creative guy. He paints and he does all sorts of so not surprising that he wanted to take a step away from his million record selling new metal band.
They were the biggest band.
The biggest band in the world.
Yeah, they were.
The biggest band in the world.
100%. To walk away from that, I mean, you have to be crazy. There has to be like the best reason. And I think what he said, and I think he was, like you said, he was true to how he feels as a musician, to leave the biggest band after, I think they sold, 1 million copies of Chocolate Starfish in 2000.
Yep.
I mean, that's a money-making machine, and you want to leave that. And I think after that, he started like a few side projects. They never really blew up. Big Dumb Face, and I think he had like another. I can't remember the name of the other one.
Oh, that other one Tim and I listened to was terrible.
Yeah.
His one project's really good. I forget what it. That's probably the one you're thinking of.
Like Light Burns.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That's pretty good
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. But I think like 2004, maybe like a year after they dropped Chocolate Starfish, or maybe 2003, maybe it's the same year. He did some Big Dumb Face, which I mean, it's really not very commercial by any means, and it was just like all over the place. But for him to kind of just like stop milking in a way this money making machine and just be like, I'm done. Yeah, I have to respect Borland for that. It's like, it's
absolutely,
crazy.
absolutely,
yeah.
So I guess you guys all know who he was replaced by guitar.
Mike Smith, who famously replaced Sonny Mayo and Snot for a time. He steps into this band, and I don't think Mike Smith recorded anything, did he? With them?
Nah, he left briefly because of a falling out with Durst and other people, ended up handling the guitar duty. So you ready? Who did the guitar work?
Fred Durst.
Rivers from Weezer.
Oh my God.
Al Jurgensen from Ministry.
No way. I didn't know
Page
that.
from Helmet. And Bubba Sparks. But all of the songs that they wrote were removed from the record, and Fred went on and wrote 30 songs with the band and another producer. So all that work, and they just ditched the record. But I'm very I want to hear what Rivers from Weezer did. That's fucking strange to me.
Well, it also, so I think to take a moment for our listening audience, right, to put yourself in the year that is 2003, right? So like Alex said, this is Limp Bizkit. This is the biggest band in the fucking world. The biggest band in the world, right? They're coming off of Chocolate Starfish, where whether you like it or not, there were some enormous songs on that album. Limp Bizkit is all over WWE. They play Times Square for MTV's New Year's Eve bash. Like, this literally is a huge, huge band. And they need to come out and really knock it out of the gate. It's 2003. Nu metal's already crested, right? It's already on its way down. We're on the third wave bands, the clone of a clone of a clone. And the one note I took here is the knives were out for Limp Bizkit. Like people were looking to see them kind of fall. Right, yeah. And Tim, I mean, it speaks to their cachet as musicians that you have people like Al Jurgensen, you have people, Paige Hamilton, who are stopping by and helping them work on stuff. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially like Al Jurgensen, like that's fucking wild, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear what he wrote too.
Actually, there's a funny story with that. I'll tell you guys later.
Shoot.
Yeah, definitely.
So when he was in the studio, so I think he produced 3 tracks, and I'm trying to see because I remember exactly. I think it was actually Head for the Barricade. I think maybe one of them, and I think Almost Over was probably another one with him, and maybe Give Me the Mic. I think he did 3 songs as a producer, and I remember like, if this is true, I'm not sure. There's no videos or anything about it, but he actually made Fred strip naked in the vocal booth and scream his guts out over those songs just because he wanted to make fun of him, because I'm pretty sure he hated Fred Durst and the image that he had at that time, right? And they were pretty much against each other and everything that they were kind of going for, especially music-wise and commercial appeal-wise. But that's people say that that's true. I mean, there's no footage of it or anything like that, but that's actually the story. So I think he did 3 songs that I think are a part of this album.
Which would not surprise me, Alex.
Yeah,
I think that's a mute. Limp Bizkit, when I saw them in Atlantic City, they open with their cover of Thieves, which is actually, I mean, and Tim, maybe one night we do the Limp Bizkit, we'll do a deep dive on the bootlegs. What is it? Wet Sweaty Beaver is the one. And Stampede of the Disco Elephants, those 2 albums that are bootleg albums.
Yeah.
Their cover of Thieves is, I love Ministry, but that's a fucking solid rendition. Yes. They do that song justice. So Al Jurgensen picking on him is not surprising. One of the other things I thought about as I'm through this is their 4th album. Their 4th album.
Yeah.
If this, and when we go into the songs, if this was this band's first album and it was any band other than Limp Bizkit, it probably would have reinvigorated the whole nu metal scene. It would have went through the fucking stratosphere because it's radio enough. Like, I hate to use this term because it sounds derogative, but it's normie fan enough that it could have pulled from that side of the world, but it was also enough of the unique nu metal parts to make it work. And I think of that interview that Shifty Shellshock did. I forget who he did it with. It might have been Toby Morris from H2O on his One Life, One Chance podcast, where he talked about how the label didn't know what to do with Crazy Town because half of their fans wanted to hear Butterfly Part 2, and the other half of the fans hated all the fans that wanted to hear Butterfly. So they literally landed right in the middle a bit. But this album, not with Limp Bizkit, coming out in 2003, would have been absolutely bananas. I think it would have been bananas.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I agree as well. I think it's one of them records that like, you know, Alex, you were 10 when you got into it. So if you have 50,000 10-year-olds hearing it for the first time, it's a whole new genre for them. So Jay, I would totally agree with that.
I think it would have been huge. It would have been huge. Yeah. As a slight aside, we really need to track down Mike Smith and get him on the show. I would love to talk about his experience in Snot. I mean, he played in The Start, which was that Human Waste Project leftovers, right? I mean, and then there was Limp Bizkit. I think I saw The Start. I did see The Start. I saw them open for Korn and Rob Zombie. Ugh. Out of breath, Rob Zombie. I am Astro Creep. Oh God, it's terrible. It's terrible. Sorry, John Wren. Sorry. Look it over. Sorry.
A couple more things here. So peaked at number 3 on the Billboard, sold 325,000 copies in the first week alone.
So number 3 for their 4th album, as nu metal is on its way down. But how many was it, Tim?
325,000.
325.
That's a huge drop, though.
It's a huge, and that's still number 3. So this is this is the rise of streaming, right? This is where Napster starts showing up, Kazaa, LimeWire starts showing up. You know, you spend 4 hours downloading a Linkin Park MP3 and it's a virus.
Yeah, right.
That's so true. Or sometimes it's not even the song is like a cover, like it's
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, back then it's Ashes Like Rain, and you're just pretending it's
you're like Linkin Park fan. You download the song, you're just like, what the fuck is Ashes Like Rain?
It's like Jim yelling at his dog with guitar in the background.
So eventually it went platinum, but it still trailed sales from the previous records. So you guys know that site Metacritic?
Yes.
So it is the 3rd lowest score on that entire site for this record. No. It's got a 33 out of 100.
Really?
33.
What's the lowest?
I don't know, but it's the 3rd lowest as of right now.
That's gotta be terrible.
So I know we talked about this a little bit. During the production, the album's title changed from Bipolar to Panty Sniffer, and then results may vary, which I'm glad they didn't do the one before that. That's fucking stupid as hell.
Oh my God. Number 1 is Kevin Federline.
Yes. And number 2 is the Bloodhound Gang. Okay. Okay, so this is still terrible company they're in, but
other working titles were Less Is More, Fetus More, Surrender, and The Search for Teddy Swoze. What the fuck?
Fred Durst is an interesting dude. He's an interesting dude.
Apparently, he was going out with Britney Spears and had an affair with her during this record, and apparently many of the songs are written about her. How true? Do we know if that's true?
I think that is true. It's all but confirmed. Yeah.
Maybe that's what made her go nuts. It was Fred Durst.
So
she shaved her head right after him.
Right, she attacked the Volkswagen with the umbrella. I remember watching that video, being like, "Yo, this poor girl, she needs help." So this is 2000. So we've talked about 2003. It's their 4th album, right? The rise of streaming. But there's no Wes Borland in the band. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference. And I think everybody would agree, but let me finish. Let me finish the statement. This album, to me, if I had to sum it up, this is Fred Durst untethered. Nobody providing the other side of the bookend to say, whoa. It's definitely darker. And when we get into it, like there's too many fucking ballads. It's more somber. The lyrics are not as immature.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And actually, I mean, I come to Limp Bizkit looking for immature lyrics. And that I think is a little bit wanting.
Hot dog.
Exactly.
Like
exactly. Dog, yeah. Right. If I say fuck 2 more times, there's 46 fucks in this fucked up rhyme. Like, come on. But it's definitely darker. It's more somber. It does show, I do think in summation, the album does show the musical ability of Sam Rivers, John Otto. Like Fred can actually what Lethal was doing, because he was still in the band at the time, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I just and when we get into the songs, we'll talk about it. But I think it's a fairly dark, and it's Fred trying to be emotional. And I mean, if what we know about coming out of the pandemic, what we know about mental health and how people deal with certain things. I mean, he has played a persona for so long, right? At this point, he's played that persona for 10 years. You know, eventually you kind of just want to do something different. Now, I'm glad he
didn't exhausted, man.
I'm glad he didn't do Stone Sour and ruin his original band. Sorry, not sorry. But then again, maybe if he did a side project where he got to do all of his somber Doors worship type stuff, Limp Bizkit would have kept on being what it is. But yeah, it's a point in time. It was a weird time for them because Borland obviously shows as being a big chunk of their creative energy.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean, when you listen to the previous records, the guitar work is phenomenal. When you listen to this record, you can hear some of his influence on it, but a lot of this record is more rock driven, if you ask me. Ballad driven. And I understand that because he gets to put his creative juices in it, but like you kind of steer away from what the band really is. There's a few songs where you're like, yeah, that's Limp Bizkit, but the rest of them, dude, you're like, whoa, man. Like,
this doesn't sound like Limp Bizkit.
This dude got his heart broken like 3 times during this record cycle. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's kind of burnt, right? He's kind of burnt, yeah.
So after the record, they go on tour with Korn on the Back to Basics tour, and after that tour, they went to South. They went to Asia basically, and Borland eventually rejoins the band in 2004 for that tour. So I want to know. I would love to get him on and ask him why he came back. Like, was he bored? Obviously, he didn't need the money, probably, because you sell that many records in the previous 3, you're getting all the residuals from them records. I mean, you're doing pretty fucking good. So maybe he got bored. Maybe the flame came back. I don't know, but
maybe
Fred said,
that was 04.
Dude, come back.
It was actually 04 or 05 that he came back.
Wikipedia said 04, so 04? Who knows? That could be wrong because
I think they dropped an EP in 05, Questionable Truth.
Right.
And that was with Wes.
We need to do an episode on that because that is a not your mother's Limp Bizkit. And
I love that album. I love that EP.
There are some really. Have you heard that, Tim? The Unquestionable Truth.
Yeah, is Borland on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have heard that. Like, I listened to that before we went to see them. And I was like, yeah, there's some pretty cool songs. There's
some good heavy songs on there. And funnily enough, there was a video. It's a video on YouTube. I think that Ross shot it. Jesus, I can't even get my fucking vowels right. Ross shot it, and it was them playing. I think it was The Truth with Wes, like him rejoining them. But that EP is fantastic and a heavy, like it takes this in a different direction.
But it says they went on a 3-year hiatus after this record, though.
Well, you figure they finished this album. This album comes out in 2003. They tour through 2004. They go on a hiatus. They put out Unquestionable Truth in 2005, and then the gap between Unquestionable Truth and Gold Cobra, I think, is like 10 years or something.
Yeah, 6. Isn't that 2011? Yeah,
11. Gold Cobra was 11. Yeah.
I just said 10,011. Jesus Christ.
We're traveling. We're great with math here tonight on the New Breed podcast.
Let me say this though. I had no clue that Durst could even play guitar. No fucking clue.
Oh my God. There's actually a video of him doing like a solo in the UK. It's pretty bad.
It can't be worse than that. Do you remember, Alex, that Joe Jonas solo he did at the Country Music Awards?
God.
We were like,
that was
he
awful.
hit like 3 notes and then he just like rock starred it. Everybody was like, yo, what was that?
Hey, man.
Oh, man, that was
whatever.
Bad. Or Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne's is bad too. He's like, he don't even know what he's doing.
Before we get into the songs, and I said this on text, and Jay told me to save it. This is grown up Limp Bizkit. They went from teenage angst to adult Limp Bizkit on this record, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that is not having Wes in the band, like Jay previously said.
I think so. And again, like you said, he got his heart broken 3 times.
Yeah.
Right. Like eventually there comes a point where anybody who's ever been dumped knows this. There comes a point where you turn that mirror back on yourself and you're like, yo, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's fucking me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like a lot of songs on this record, and then some of them are just bad, dude. Really
I can't wait. I can't wait to see which one.
So before we go in, like you said, Tim, 68 minutes total. Nowadays, you could not release an album that is 68 minutes. Nobody's listening to an album over an hour long. 16 tracks. That's a long. I'm sorry, man. That is a long ass album.
I could hardly get through it. So
that was probably my biggest issue, and it still is. It's too long.
It's that's one of my
biggest negative.
It's way too long.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. That was 2003. Record labels wanted long records.
Well, they wanted you to fill the CD. If we're going to charge people $22 for a fucking CD.
$22, and the import in Canada was $73.
Yeah, right. Poor Alex is like, taking out a mortgage to buy
with like a bonus track just for the fuck of it. Like, just get this like bonus track just to
here you go.
Guys up.
U.S. import, and you're like, ooh, it's kind of like when the Wall. Did Canada have the Wall in the malls? So the Wall was a place where see all the young kids are gonna be like, what is this? The Wall used to buy a CD there in the US, and it would put a sticker on it, a blue sticker said the Wall.
Yeah.
So if the CD ever got messed up, you could return it and get a new one for free.
Really? I don't think so.
They were so dumb, they would put the sticker on the case. So if any CD of yours broke, you would just switch to the jewel case and get a free CD of anything you wanted.
Wow.
That's how stupid they were. It's like,
they didn't put it on the book, they put it on the actual jewel case. Yeah.
I could just open undo the jewel case and put it on my corn CD and just bring it to you when I stepped on it at a party drunk or something. It's that easy, dude.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't think we had that, but I wish we did, but no. Yeah, it was not like that.
You know what? I'll have to pull out. If I have any CDs with the sticker on it still, I'll pull it out and send you a picture of it. It's crazy funny, man.
Oh, for sure. I'm curious.
They might even have one. Yeah.
I probably have one down in my. I have a rack of a bunch of stuff that I kept. Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah. If not, I'll find one on Google Images and I'll show you. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. All right, so let's do the tracks. All right, so let's start it off. Here we go. First track is the quasi intro / first song. It's Re-Entry, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Tim, after never hearing this album and putting this in, what did you think?
Like I said, I didn't know what to expect from this record, but right away I was like, this does not sound like Limp Bizkit at all. Right away I'm like, oh, this is different. But I can't lie, I didn't hate it right away at all, which is super surprising because I thought I was just gonna straight out hate everything on this record, and that was not the case, man. There's some good songs on this record. There are some really bad songs on this record, though. But I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I didn't hate it, and I was like, some good riffing in this. After you get a little bit into the song, there's some riffs in this.
Right. Yeah. So, Alex, first time hearing this, like, what are your thoughts? So first time hearing this, what were your thoughts? And as you went back and listened to it again now, as a musician, right? What are your thoughts? Did you add a different flavor to it? Maybe different appreciation? What do you think?
For sure. I mean, the only negative that I can give that song is that I find the intro to be a bit too long. Before it goes into like the da da na 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 like that. That's a cool riff. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have to give that song, and I think, again, I'm like you guys said, I'm not sure if Mike Smith played any or they kept any songs that I'm not sure who played that riff, but that riff is really cool. So whoever played that riff, really props, because that's a really, really cool, like, not technical in any way, but it's catchy. It has a bounce to it. And I would have actually just started the album with that riff. No intro, like the carnival music in the back and the elephants and the whole thing. I never really understood the whole thing. And I think it's Fred's voice that's pitched up and down in the intro when he kind of has a dialogue. Step right up, step right up, everybody, whatever he says in the beginning. And then the riff starts and the whole thing. I like the song. I think it's a crazy, crazy intro to start the album. The drums sound fantastic. The bass sounds really good. It's heavy. It's in your face. But apart from, because I think that the whole dialogue is probably like a minute.
Yeah, it is long.
It is. So the song could have been probably a minute and a half, and I would have been really happy with that. And then you go into Eat You Alive, and it would be a bit more, I don't know. It'll probably just flow a bit better than having the carnival music and the whole elephant thing in the beginning, which, again, I never really got why they did that in the first place. But that's only negative. But that's one of the best riffs. 100% on the album. Yeah, I'll put that in the top 5.
I would second that. I put it on upstairs when I was finishing up feeding the dogs, and I kept going, is the intro still going?
Yeah.
I kept looking over. You're right. It's about 35 seconds, a bit too long.
Yeah.
To your point, I agree with Tim. There are some signs of Limp Bizkit, right, in the music, right? Some of the riffing, some of the flourishes. You're like, yeah, I can tell this is Limp Bizkit. If you didn't tell me this was Limp Bizkit, it would be in my first 3 guesses. So I can, yeah, it's just a kind of weird way to open an album. A very, very, very long spoken intro into him singing. And they're not known for him singing. So
that's a good point. That's another really good point that I really think about. It starts because usually starts with him kind of announcing the album, like Chocolate Starfish or Significant. You kind of had like the just like this, and you had the alien kind of intro sound effects, and he's like, get the fuck up, classic Fred Durst. But this one, he starts off with and I'm just like, he's singing. Actually, it doesn't sound that bad. Fred can actually sing if he wants to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a good point. That's a really good point with the singing. I never really thought of that until now.
How much is that is how much of that is Rick Rubin though? Because if you study anything Rick Rubin has done, or you listen to any interviews he's done, he pretty much has a big say in what these records come out as.
Yeah, he does, and that's a great point. But there's other times where he doesn't. There's other times where he just sits in the back and just vibes, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a hit." That's a hit. Like he's done it to Jay-Z, right? That's a hit. Go with that. That's a hit. But the other times, I mean, I go back to this as Fred Unbound. Nobody is there saying, "Yo, buddy, we got to slow it down," right? We've done 4 fucking spoken word ballads in a row. We need like a mosh part or something. We need a fucking mosh part.
It's like his solo project on one record.
Yeah. So speaking of that, let's go to. I'm going to start with you, Alex. The first real song on the album, which was the leadoff single, Eat You Alive. This is track 2, 3 minutes, 57 seconds. I believe in the video it was Thora Birch and Bill Paxton. Yes.
Yep.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah. Classic nu metal. For me, this is like a classic Limp Bizkit nu metal. The riff, just screams nu metal. I love it, man. I feel like what's cool about this song is that it has a lot of cool transitions between like verses, the pre-chorus to chorus, then he has like a post-chorus at some parts, and then you have that really like slow bridge that's very ambient before it kind of like escalates back into like a heavy groove. So I feel like this is more of like again, it's more of a nu metal, like a classic nu metal song with Fred screaming into the chorus, which actually that one, looking back in 03, that's not super mainstream. To have a chorus where he just pretty much screams the whole way through that chorus, it's not super mainstream. And I'm looking back, that I'm not sure how well the song was, maybe top 10 rock. I can't really tell you, or maybe top 20. I know for a fact it was not number 1 in on any charts, but I would say that takes some balls. Even you can be Limp Bizkit, but in 03, just have a chorus where you have bands like Stained in 03, where the choruses were very singy. You had bands like, Linkin Park, where the choruses would be a lot, very singy, and then your bridge would be heavy. Then you had bands like, Cold, around that same area. They dropped Fear of the Spider. The choruses are very, melodic with Stupid Girl and stuff like that. But that one, just to scream the whole way through the chorus, I was just like, that takes a bit of a courage to kind of put out as a single, especially the first single. But I love this track. The only negative, maybe the lyrics at some points are a bit immature, maybe in this one. I think there's a part of him sniffing the pennies of the girl that he's looking to get alive.
Yeah,
right?
we're not coming to Limp Bizkit for fine art. Fine art lyrics. Right? Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die is nowhere to be found on this album.
Yeah. That was, but the song, I think overall it hits, man. This song just hits, screams nu metal to me, classic nu metal. I love it. And the video as well. Amazing production, beautiful. Yeah. So for me, this is probably top 5, I would say.
Tim.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is my favorite song on the record. Right away, the first thing that hits me, that distortion tone is fucking crispy, dude.
Yes.
The that's
I think it's only one channel
riff.
Yeah. I think it's mono on the left or the right channel. I think so. When you play like on speakers, I feel like it's just one channel, and then when it explodes, you get the full effect of the two. But yeah, that's a crazy riff.
But I'll tell you what, and you named the band I'm about to say, you already named Stained. This sounds like a Stain riff right here. If you listen to it again, this is a Stained riff. This is second album Stained riffing
Mike
right
was
here.
shocked. I'll go back and listen to it.
I actually think it's a great track, though. I mean, I definitely laughed out loud when he said the panty thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is this dude talking about?
Let's take it back to the original beginning of this conversation. He's playing a persona. He's been doing it now for 10 years, right? I mean, that's his, 46 fucks in this fucked up rhyme.
Definitely my favorite song on the record, though.
I think this is one of the best songs on the record. I think this is highly aggressive. It sounds more like Limp Bizkit than the intro did. The only thing I thought was missing was it wasn't as snotty, if that makes any sense. Like there was the remark about sniffing panties, and there was like that great guitar riff, and there's a bounce in this track that I really enjoy. Like I was actually watching the video on YouTube. Like if I had been paying attention back in 2003, I probably would have really liked this, but there wasn't that sneering Limp Bizkit that I'd come to expect. Not that it's bad, but there wasn't that.
You're missing the teenage angst voice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You get a bit of it, but not to the Limp Bizkit effect. I totally get you. It's too clean. Maybe the production, maybe it's a bit too clean in some parts. Maybe his voice is touched maybe too much in this one, Fred's voice, but
yeah. So Ross did the first record, right?
Ross did the first one or two? One.
Did he do Significant Other?
Terry Date did two.
And the third as well.
And Starfish, yeah.
That makes sense because $3 Bill definitely has that raw corn sound.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Significant Other has the Deftones around the fur sound, if you think about it. It's very thick. So okay. I see now. Maybe you're right though, Alex. Maybe they just mess with his voice too much where they just overproduced it.
It sounds very clean to me, going back to even like the later stuff that they did, even Gold Cobra. This one feels like they really touched up his voice. I don't want to say auto-tune, maybe in some parts of the singing later on the album, but like crisp wise, sound wise, and that's why I feel like what Jay said, that it just feels a bit too, not as maybe angsty and as Limp Bizkit-y as it used to be in the back. I feel like maybe that's a reason why it's maybe a bit too polished. Maybe polished will be a good word to kind of use on Fred's voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Good song though.
Yeah, very good song. So coming over this, we're gonna go to the next track. Give Me the Mic. I'm going to start with this one. This is the heaviest song they've ever done.
You think?
This is the heaviest song Limp Bizkit has ever done. There's turntables. There's the rapping cadence. There's that funk bass backbeat. There's the guitar sounds like they're channeling West Borland. And lastly, there's double kick in the bridge that I have never heard on a Limp Bizkit song before.
That is true.
I think this is their heaviest song. And I would be curious to see what would happen if you locked them in a room and played this nonstop and said, I need 8 songs of this for an EP, what they would come out with. Right. But this is my favorite song on the album. Like I was like, holy shit, how did I miss this for 17, 18, 19 years?
Yeah.
You know? What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a great fucking track. The lot of cool guitar riffing in this one too. You can definitely hear the Borland influence in this one a lot, and I think that's probably why you like this a lot, Jay.
I think so.
Yeah,
because you could definitely hear where he took some of his elements of the guitar playing. But like you said too, like this is a typical Limp Bizkit song, and this is where I was like, when I was texting you, I was like, damn, dude, like I was at this song and I'm like, dude, this record's pretty fucking good so far.
I knew you were at this point when you sent that text. And when we get to your next text message, I'm going to know you were at that point too.
And I was like, dude, these songs are fucking good. I'm like, wow, dude. Like, cause I think Significant and Starfish are fucking great records. I think the first one has its moments, but I don't think it's as good as everyone puts it up on a pedestal as. I don't think it's that good. Significant is their best record in my opinion, obviously, but this song reminds me of something off of them 2 previous records, and it was almost my favorite track, but number 2 as the second track, it's just a great one. The thing about this that makes it such a Limp Bizkit song is the subpar rapping and all that shit. So you hear all that stuff,
right?
The whiny vocals are there, and
the subpar rapping. Alex, what were your thoughts?
I have to agree. I think this is probably, again, in my top 5 for the album. Again, I agree. It's some Wes. This might be the song. I'm not sure. Maybe this is a track that they probably demoed with Wes.
That's a great fucking point.
That's a great, it's a great point.
I'm thinking maybe, because again, if he left in 2001, 2002, I think it's 01, maybe they already started to demo something for the next project, and maybe they had this riff stashed in like a demo catalog or something like that and just pulled it. But yeah, I love the riff, the rapping. DJ Lethal stole it from me with the scratching and the sample of Eric B and Rakim. I think it's the scratching of what they used as a sample. And also what I like about the song, and it took me a while until like I actually upgraded my speakers in my studio because I could never tell. There's actually a synth, really crazy synth that runs through the chorus of the song that I never heard before, and I feel like that's something new for Limp Bizkit. Yeah, if you go back, there's a weird, like a weird that just kind of like goes from like the it starts really thin, but it like thickens out. It's an interesting, and there's some effects on it, like some phaser and some delays, but that's new for Limp Bizkit because again, they never really used synths in their songs prior, if I'm not mistaken. They use some keyboards, but not like synthesizers. But yeah, I have to agree with you guys. I love this track, the rapping, everything. This is again a new metal banger, and a great follow-up to Eat You Alive, I think.
Yeah, you nailed it. New metal banger. I mean,
this new metal banger.
In this.
That's our next T-shirt. Write that down. New metal banger. I gotta Tim, I gotta get that. I lifted upstairs. I got that other shirt. Alex, we did a shirt. You know, Dead Guy. You know the band Dead Guy from New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
They did Death to False Metal. We did a T-shirt. It's the Baphomet. It's the circle with the goat's head in the middle, and the goat's head's wearing a red Yankees hat.
Oh my!
And on the bottom it says "Death to False New Metal."
I love it.
We're getting we gotta get T-shirts made for everybody and just send them as gifts to everybody who's been on the show.
I would love to. That's amazing.
I love the song. Crazy. I love the song. So now let's start. Let's turn the corner.
Yeah.
The next track is Underneath the Gun, and I'm gonna start with you, Alex.
Yeah. I feel like this is where the album kind of takes a different approach. What I have to give to Fred, I mean, the lyrics on this one are pretty deep, and I can't be 100% sure, but it kind of deals with, like you guys kind of talking to be a mental health a lot. Again, I don't want to say it's about like really dark stuff. It kind of sounds like it, but I feel like he was maybe in a sad state of mind, maybe, or he was down when he kind of wrote the lyrics for this one, because it's a lot more mature, maybe one of the more mature moments, I would say, on this whole album. Music wise, again, it's a slower song that I don't think anybody, again, I'm going back to the first time that you'd put the CD as a Limp Bizkit fan and be like, this is very different. Maybe you had moments like this on Hold On from the previous album, and you had like moments like A Lesson Learned, maybe from Significant, which slower songs, or Don't Go Off Wandering, which is another slower one. But this one kind of takes it down a level. I really love the guitar work. I think it's really cool. Really cool solo. Once again, I don't know who played the guitar on this one, but I find the solo to be, once again, I never heard a solo on a Limp Bizkit song before, so this is probably their first guitar solo ever. But yeah, overall, it's not my favorite. I think it's a bit too long. I think it's 5 minutes, close to 6, if I'm not mistaken, lengthwise.
Close to 6, yep.
Yeah, 5 minutes to 41 seconds. Jesus.
It's a bit long, but guitar work, really cool. The bass line is really cool as well in this song. And so the biggest positive for me are probably the lyrics in this one. I find like Fred really, kind of went a bit deeper within himself to kind of write something that's a lot more mature than what we expected. But like I said, it's not my favorite, but it's a cool track. I don't hate it.
I pretty much wrote the same exact thing down. This is the grown up Limp Bizkit right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think that it's a great song though. Like a lot of cool riffing, and there's a lot that electronic thing in the background is really cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, it's really, really different for what they are used to putting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I dug it though.
Yeah, it's so my exact notes, right? My exact notes. I actually dug in here.
Wow.
My notes on this was ballad question mark, possibly milquetoast, kind of uninspired. Fred Durst attempting to be vulnerable, and then I put not bad if it was another band.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of these songs, if they were a different band, and we're gonna get to the chunk of the album where you put Creed or Stained or somebody else's name on this who's known for what we know is power ballads from the 80s, dating myself right there. Shout out to fucking Def Leppard. Shout out to Josh, not Josh, what's his name from Red Temple Prey? What's his name? Josh?
Richter.
We went, and no, it wasn't him. It was Jordan. We went Jordan from Zone Zero. We went in on Def Leppard. There's a chunk of ballads here that you put a different band name on that and just release it to the radio and don't tell them anything about the band, I guarantee you they all get picked up and played. But because you're viewing through the like you said, Tim, there's a Limp Bizkit lens. There's an expectation, and it wasn't meeting my expectation. There you go.
But it met it in a whole different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So after Underneath the Gun, we have another slower song, which is one of the lowest amounts streamed on Spotify. This is 4 minutes and 6 seconds. Down Another Day. Tim, I'm going to start with you.
More grown up Fred Durst in this one. I mean, it's like 2 songs in a row where you're like, whoa, dude, like, what is this? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But I can't lie. Like, the first 5 tracks to me are good. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed these first 5 tracks. Like, I was like, dude, I'm looking at the track list on my phone at my desk, and I'm like, okay, all right. Like, I thought this was going to be complete shit, but this is cool. Like, I just like, sometimes it's cool to hear a new direction of a band that you're so familiar with having a sound that's just like stapled in your mind. Because like we keep saying, when you think of Limp Bizkit, you're thinking of all the stuff they did before. But when you hear this stuff, you're like, all right, dude, like if this was my favorite band, I would be very happy with this because it's like a new direction, but it's very still mind-boggling and surprising at the same time. And I'm very surprised that I like it.
That's a great adjective, surprising.
Yeah.
Surprising because when you get to this point in the album, right? We've had 5 songs, 1 intro, 2 bangers, 2 new metal bangers, two ballads. With the rest of the album, which is like another 11 tracks or 14 tracks, you're like, yo, what is this? What? It's potluck. What? I don't even know what I'm going to get. What did you think, Alex? Down Another Day. This was your favorite song you said as a kid, right?
This was my favorite. Yeah. So I still, I mean, over time, it kind of, grew, I kind of grew apart maybe from the song, but I remember what I really liked about it. It was like you said, it was different. It was really different. It was like a different Limp Bizkit. And, coming from somebody that was not always into like just heavy music, like I said, I kind of came from poppier styles of music before I kind of got into new metal. I really appreciated that they kind of took a different route and it was a bit more ambient. And I really like the ambience. I feel like that's probably one of the positives in the song. The ambience is really, really cool. And I think Rick Rubin produced the whole song. I might be wrong. I'm going to have to double check that. But
that would make sense.
This is one of 100%. This is Rick Rubin behind this one. Sam, amazing intro bass line. One of my favorite bass lines.
I was waiting for one of you to mention that. That to me on my first note is this a Tool intro?
Yeah. With the delay and the effects and the bass. Yeah. Really cool. I love the ambience. Once again, like you said, Fred, a lot more mature on this one. Again, talking about like the seasons and falling out in love and waiting for the person that he likes and breaks up and the person comes back and he waits to come back. And it's like the whole, roller coaster of love that everybody kind of feels at some point. And I think Fred was like, what, 30s, 33, maybe early 30s when they did this album. So, but yeah, I really like this track. Yeah, I really like this track. Used to be my favorite. It's still one of my favorites from this album. But yeah, really different. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Next song, Almost Over, 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Tim?
This is where I start to feel like it picks up again in the heavy direction, but it's still the adult Limp Bizkit on this one.
Yeah.
I think that, like, after you do the two ballads, and then you have to, and you see this in a lot of new metal records, especially in like the second and third records of bands, they start putting the mature stuff in, but then they go, you know what, we got to hit them again. We got to keep hitting them, and I believe that's what this is. The thing I'm missing in this is though, you miss a lot of the big important stuff that Borland would do.
The big change, like
yes,
the big, like
exactly.
not even like a bridge or a pre-chorus, but there was always some moment where it would go up. It's like a DJ where they're spinning and they move the party up a whole level. You're right. There's that Borland. I don't want to call it the Borland beat, but the Borland where he hits a button and everything goes up.
Yeah. Like you're missing that. Yeah. You're missing the Wes Borland aspect of the music here. And I kind of think it's hard to replicate someone like that because he's so eclectic in the way he writes. So when you go, it's kind of like if Chino left Deftones and you go to do the next record and you tell the singer, like, hey man, like we're kind of missing like them moments that we all had before. Like you're never going to be able to replicate it. You can't replicate, like, if I say,
can you make noises like a cat being strangled? Because Chino used to make those noises. Can you make those noises?
Say like I joined Ashes Like Rain and Alex just wanted to sing and he needed a guitar player. If I was to play guitar for that band, it would sound like the song, but the feel of the song wouldn't be there because I don't have his hand.
Right.
That's what you're missing. You know what I mean?
Everybody's different. Close, but not quite there.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. My note here was this chorus is cheesy as fuck, but I love it. You know, the what it is, what I say, like that head bobbing section. Yeah. I put that this is the fact that the bass is in the front. You know, I'm a sucker for a good strong back line. I said this is as close to a rock song as they've ever written. And again, I said the lyrics aren't much to write home about, but this is my underlined quote is cheesy but fun. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I really this is I mean, this is not my favorite for sure. The whole I mean, my negative about this song is again the lyrics. I know it's Limp Bizkit, I know it's Fred, but the whole boy, I think it's like ending with boy, ending with men. The whole lyrical scheme that he has in the verses, it's really annoying. That's just my opinion. I find it a bit annoying and a bit like, you know, I think the song is about like what 3 minutes. Let me check again. It's 4 actually.
4:38.
My God. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit long. When you hear the word boy and man for 2 verses, you know what I mean. But again, the chorus I really like. The riff in the chorus is really cool. It's really bouncy. I feel like this is a good song to mosh, to, you know, to kind of have like a jumping effect if you want to play live. I don't think they ever played it live, but this will be a really cool song. My favorite part might be the bridge. I can't remember the lyrics. I'm lost in, I can't remember the lyrics of it, but like the whole thing kind of switches around, and I feel like they kind of switch the key of the song during the bridge of it. So I really, really like the bridge section of that song. But yeah, I have to agree. It's not my favorite. The lyrics are just a bit too, I can't.
Yeah.
I listened to this song once. I'm just like, I'm done.
Cheese. It's fine. It's cheese. It's cheese.
Yeah. It's cheese. Yeah. So,
all right. So we're coming out of Almost Over. We're almost at the midway part, almost over and almost at the midway part of this album. My Lord. Build a Bridge. This song is 3 minutes, 56 seconds, but oddly 15 million streams on Spotify. Tim.
Yeah.
Build a Bridge.
Man, dude. I at this point of the record, I'm like, dude, I'm so surprised at how many acoustic parts are in this record. There's a lot of acoustic guitar in this record, and I was not expecting that at all, especially for Limp Bizkit. But I mean, not gonna lie, I think this is a fucking another great track. This is a great rock track right here. This is a rock song right here. This could have been, I don't know if this was a single. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this could have been a single right here. I think, I mean, it's a long single, but to me, this could have been something you hear on the radio at that time.
Well, a lot of these
very
ballads,
surprised it wasn't.
A lot of these ballads would have been fine on WYSP, right? I mean, a lot of them would have been fine. They would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, we're at track 7, and I don't think there's a bad song yet, but there is a big drop off, and we'll be getting into that soon.
And I think I know.
Alex,
I know which one.
Alex, build the bridge.
I know which one. I agree. I feel like this is I like it a lot more than Almost Over for sure. I really like the production, the acoustic. I think the acoustic guitar sound is really nice. To the point that I think Head from Korn, I'm not sure if he's in the credits, but I think he played guitar. Yeah, I think he played guitar. Not the acoustic, but there's some corny leads in the verses, like some delay, reverb. So I can be wrong, but I think he played guitar. In this one. But yeah, once again, deals with a breakup. Kind of like the main subject at this point throughout the album. Heartbreak. Production is really cool. The drums. The drums sound fantastic. Maybe the best sounding drums, especially the last part before the last chorus when Otto kind of has that fill. They sound huge. I don't know what type of compression they used or reverb. I love the drums on this one. Fred's voice sounds, again, like I said, maybe a bit touched up more than I would probably like, but this is one of my favorites from the album. And again, with the acoustic, I think it's a very nice switch up to kind of just have a song that's mostly acoustic. So yeah, I really love it. I love the song. Yeah,
I would agree. Yeah, this is in my top 5 tracks on the record. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
This is where I started to go. Not too sure, guys. I think we're headed into rough. I think we're headed into rough waters. Knowing that with the Snoop Dogg is on the next song, I think I think we're approaching that cliff in that Rock movie, the movie with the Rock, and all of a sudden the waterfall comes.
Yeah.
I just put another ballad, ? LOL ? So moving along, and we're gonna hit a part in the album where we're gonna do a lightning round because I don't think we want to belabor the point here. Track number 8. Surprisingly, only 4 million streams on Spotify. 3 minutes 54 seconds. Red Light, Green Light, featuring Snoop Dogg. Tim, what did you think?
All right. I absolutely love Doggy Style.
He started with all right.
I absolutely love Doggy Style, Snoop's record. I think that's one of the best West Coast rap records ever. Because, I don't know if many people notice, I love hip hop. I love rap. I love it, all that shit. I love Doggy Style. I love the Chronic, all that stuff. But after that record, Snoop got too commercial for me, and this is the exact Snoop that I cannot stand.
Okay.
And on this, I just don't see the point of it. Is it just a feature for views and listens and sales? I understand that. I get the way mainstream music works. I get it. But this is just bad, dude. I hate this song. This is where the record just goes down a steep cliff for me, man.
Well, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I have to agree. This is the worst song. I hate.
It's horrible, dude.
Yeah,
you're 100% correct.
Yeah, the lyrics are just atrocious. Same thing as Almost Over. Fred kind of brings back I think this one ends with baby. I think every line in the verse kind of ends with da 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 baby, da 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 baby, da da da. Again, kind of the same pattern scheme as Almost Over, which again is not my favorite. But yeah, I don't get the Snoop Dogg feature. Actually, I'll probably send you the video. There's actually a Results May Vary album make. MTV used to do like those album make back in the day, back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s to mid 2000s. And actually, I think it's like 3 hours and maybe 4 hours of them making this album in the studio.
Oh, wow.
And I think the story behind this one, Lethal made the beat. And I think Fred was just like, I think Snoop Dogg would be a great, crazy feature. I think that's how it ended up. And they called Snoop to the studio. And actually in the film, in the YouTube video of them making the album, Snoop actually freestyled the whole verse. This is, I don't think he wrote anything. This was just him kind of freestyling, and that's kind of what they kept on the final album. But yeah, I feel like the song, it's uninspired. It's boring. The beat, I don't like the beat. The lyrics are atrocious, and this is maybe one of the maybe the worst Limp Bizkit song. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. We have to get further into this album to talk about the worst Limp Bizkit song.
It's kind of like All in the Family on Follow the Leader.
Well,
for what?
God, yeah.
Yeah, is my note. My exact note is Snoop has talent. At this point, it's a stereotype. The hip hop artist on a Limp Bizkit song that's a hip hop song with Fred and the artist rapping. You're not going to top Significant Other with Redman or Method Man. You're not going to top that. And Together Now. So
very good.
But at this point, it became stereotypical. So speaking of Snoop, I don't know if you saw this, Tim. I shared it on Slack. It showed up on the internet. In '99, when Dr. Dre was doing his comeback album, he had a song he was stuck and he couldn't write the lyrics, and it was Still Dre with the piano beat. He sent it to Jay-Z, and in less than an hour, Jay-Z sent back the lyrics for his parts and for Snoop's parts. And that just goes to show you, think what you want about Jay-Z. Yeah. That motherfucker is talented.
Oh, no.
He could put himself into Dr. Dre's shoes and say, if I'm Dre, this is how I'm going to rap. And if I have Snoop sitting over here, shit, like this is how I'm going to pull him in. Like, and this is a wild aside, but it talks about, right, there are some musicians out there, so they're not even musicians, they're artists, where they can understand where it'd be the equivalent of, like, to your point about your example earlier, where you showing up in the studio with Alex just wants to sing and he wants you to do the guitar parts. An amazing musician, I'm not to say you aren't, an amazing musician could put himself into Alex's shoes and say, okay, how would Alex play this? And that's what you would hear. And I was wild aside. Let's get back to, okay, so now we're going to go back. We're going to do a lightning round because I can't talk about 5 minutes each on every single one of these songs. I might start crying. I'm going to start with you, Tim. We're going to go to Take It Home, track 9, 1 minute, 41 seconds. Describe this song for the people who are listening.
I can't do it. I don't care for it at all, man. It's basically, isn't it? I didn't write notes for this one because I was just kind of like, isn't it just
that's like a hidden track, right? Because I'm looking and I totally forgot, but that's the hidden track.
It's the second half. It's the second half of Red Light, Green Light.
Red Light, Green Light.
Go to the next one.
So this, believe it or not, this is the only song where they kept Mike Smith's guitar writing. It's
the only one.
This is the only one where it's all Mike Smith's guitar. Could be why you hate it. All right, Alex, I'm going to go to you. The only one.
Yeah, I'm not. So Mike played on this one. Is that what I'm getting? This is what
his name is in the credits. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, the only one. Okay. Uninspired once again. I don't like this song. The lyrics, once again, I can't stand the lyrics on this one. The only thing that I like about this song is there's, again, a really cool solo section in the middle of the song during the bridge. That's probably my favorite song. But another one that I just feel like this is a filler.
It's got a good opening riff, but it's 100% filler.
This is one of the examples where, Breaking Benjamin, Creed, Disturbed, Godsmack, the stuff that we derisively refer to as butt rock. You take this song, put it under a different band's name and release it, it's huge. Because it is solidly in that Breaking Benjamin, Disturbed, Creed vein. Next song, Tim, I'm going to you. Let Me Down, track number 11.
This is where the record really let me down. Honestly, this is bad, dude.
This is where it tipped over for you.
This is where the Titanic hit the glacier, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, dude. I know that's a very bad thing to say with the shit that just happened, but this is terrible, dude.
I have to tell Alex this. Alex, so Tim and I, we chat back and forth when we're doing these things, and he texted me and he said, "Hey, I really like this album. There's some bangers on here." And I knew he was at like track 3. And I'm like, all right, save it for the episode. Don't tell me now, save it for the episode. 20 minutes later, I get this text message and he says something like, "Yo, this is fucking terrible." And I just started laughing because I knew he hit that spot in the album where it just goes boop and it just tips over.
Yeah, horrible, dude.
Yeah, this was the song sentence I had for Let Me Down was, this is them not deciding what genre they want to be in, because there's new metal parts, there's rock parts, there's experimental parts. Pick one and go with it. too many styles lose the mix. All right, Alex, I'm going back to you for Lonely World. This is track 12. We're still going.
Track 12. Yeah. Again, what I have for this one, again, I don't have notes like you. I should have prepared myself better, but I feel like this one started the whole, every bridge feels like after this one, it's like that. It just drops to nothing. I'm not sure if you guys realize that, but like there's barely any instruments. This one, and I feel like Phenomenon is the same thing. Creamer, I feel like it does the exact same thing. There's a bunch of songs, the bridge just goes to nothing, and I don't understand why they did that, but I feel this song has that. The rapping, I guess it's kind of cool. The guitar, it's pretty cool, but once again, like this is another filler for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you're nailing it with the word filler.
Yeah.
When you have to write a
lot of filler,
when you have to put 16 songs on a record, man, and you can see that in Follow Leader. And the reason I keep bringing up Follow Leader is because next week we're doing a dive on that one. There's so much filler in that record.
Yeah,
it's just like, why put it on there? Like this record, like if you would have just cut it at like 10 songs, you have a fucking banger.
So I was going to bring it up later, but I'm actually going to create a playlist of Jay. If Jay was picking the track listing, I got it down to 9 songs. And I guarantee you could this album, this album, I cut it to 9 songs. I guarantee you could listen to this and go, yo, that's a fucking monster right there. That is a fucking monster. But you're right. There's a lot of fluff. Like, hey, we got to fill the 72 minutes on the CD. Do you have any other ballads sitting around?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the porn girl is being a fluffer. It's just like, here you go.
What are we doing here? Okay, so now let's turn a bit, right? So let's go to track 12, 3 minutes 59 seconds. Phenomenon. Tim.
The only redeeming value of this song is the riff in the chorus. Other than that, I can't stand this song.
See, I go the other way. I said this is finally back to something heavy. This would easily be a B-side on Significant Other. Fred Durst's obnoxious personality shows up and he rips off the chorus from LL Cool J, right? And then he rips off the opening lines from Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet. I thought there's buried deep in the B side of this album, there are a couple of standout tracks, and for me, it's the next 3 in a sequence. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah. So this one for me, I once again, the only thing that I like, once again, I think is the chorus. The riff in the chorus is really
a great
cool.
chorus.
It's a and the whole melody that he has, kind of like the vocal, like the rapping scheme that he goes into the last part of the chorus, I find it really cool. Once again, the bridge is atrocious, and it's the worst bridge I've ever heard. It goes to nothing. Everything just drops to nothing. And this one, I think, is just bass. Sam just plays the bass, and Fred sings some really, and then it picks back up to the chorus. The verses are psychedelic funk, weird guitar part. I don't really get it. This song for me, just like, they had no idea.
It was written at 3 a.m. when everyone had too much fucking whiskey in them.
Yeah, probably whiskey and mushrooms. Yeah, I have like, I feel like they had no clue how to finish the song. I think like they had the riff. This is my idea of it, like as a I guess somebody that writes music. They had the riff, and they were like, the riff is really amazing. How can we make a song out of it?
Yeah.
That's like a riff that somebody just came to practice and was just riffing on. Everyone was like, "Oh, let's write a song around that." Yeah,
we got something there. There's something there. Yeah, yeah.
Being in the 7 bands I've been in, that happens all the time. So you have one good riff, and the rest of the song is trash. So I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they're ripping off LL Cool J, but there's just a sweet spot there's a soft spot in my heart for that. All right, so now let's go to Tim, number 14, Creamer. Radio is Dead.
At this point, all the songs sound exactly the same. It's just like, why? Just kill it, man.
Alex, do you agree or disagree?
No, actually, I love, this is probably one of my favorites. And I feel like the reason is I love this song. I feel like they brought it back. The guitar riff in the verses is probably one of the most creative riffs I think I heard. It has like a really interesting delay. This sounds like something Borland would do. back in It'll Be Okay, kind of like in the bridge version, or Living It Up, kind of like that delay guitar part. I think the guitar work in the song is incredible. Maybe my favorite guitar work it's in this song. I feel like is really creative. I'm not sure who played the guitar once again, because there's so many guitarists on this album. But I feel like this is a really cool track. The ambience, the scratching, Lethal once again, really bringing some cool flavor to the song. This is my top 5.
I would agree.
Wow.
For me, the guitar, you know what I heard Alex, when I first one, it started The Doors. Very much the Doors 60s, 70s rock band intro.
It does, yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't hear that, because that's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Give it another well, Tim, I know what happened. You got burned out by the first half and you were like, my ears are shot. I guarantee you go back in tomorrow and start with, say, Phenomenon, you'll end up with a different take on some of the beat track, the late tracks.
I should actually.
To me, I put this was a deep cut on Significant Other. Like, this is deep in the B-side of Significant Other. I said it's not a bad song, but the only thing it's missing is the Limp Bizkit edge. And I do that with air quotes because I don't know how to put I don't know a different word, but there's the stamp that makes you know it's a Limp Bizkit song. That's the only piece that's missing.
I can agree with that. Agree with that. Yeah.
So we're coming out of Creamer. We're going to go to, I guess this is one of the other well-known songs on this album. Track number, God, it's 15. Head for the Barricade. Tim?
Oh, God. All right, I'll start out with this. The snare sound in this song is amazing. I love that snare, that poppy ass snare. It's great, but goddamn, this song's bad, dude. I can see why people like it though. But here's the thing. This song is the anthem for people who think this is death metal and the heaviest thing ever. But like, to me, this is the Trailer Park Anthem in West Virginia, dude. This is like, this is music that people fucking slam.
The analogy kills.
This is the thing. This is the song that people slam Monster Energies to and their wife beaters, and
because they haven't heard 530 Death Punch yet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like, so
this is dude. I listen to death metal and they put on Head for the Barricade and it's fucking tribal tattoos and I can't, dude. This song's terrible.
Yeah. Dude, it starts with the snare and the gang chorus of Fight. How can you not get? I think this is probably one of the most old school Limp Bizkit sounding songs on the album.
Maybe that's why I hate it, because it sounds like something from $3 Bill, and I can't,
probably
there's a lot of songs on that record that just aren't good.
There's a I think I don't know if it's it's not a bridge. It's probably the pre-chorus. They actually go double time into the chorus. One of the rare instances of Limp Bizkit actually doing that. Because we've talked before where I'm a big fan of tempo changes. This is in my Jay's retrack listing of Results May Vary. This song makes it. I think it's a nice heavy kind of banger way in the modern Limp Bizkit banger, a modern Limp Bizkit banger, not an old school Limp Bizkit banger. The modern Limp Bizkit banger closeout of an album. I actually really like this song. What did you think, Alex? What did 10-year-old Alex think?
Oh man, I used to love this song as a kid. Yeah, it made me like really angry for whatever reason, because it kind of has like the angsty feel to it. But I have to agree with both of you. I feel like there's some really good elements in the song, especially the bridge, that cool guitar part. And I feel like this is again Mike Smith. I could be wrong, but I feel like he played guitar in this one. I really like that bridge part. I feel like that's such an interesting switch from the usual Limp Bizkit that you kind of listen to. There's a line about Columbine.
And that has not aged well.
No, not at all. No. Like that one, again, the lyrics, but there's some cool parts. But once again, I kind of feel like I don't really like it. It's not in my top. Yeah, I mean, it will be a cool song to mosh to. I guess that will probably be my best, the positive I can give this track is probably the bridge, and it will be a cool song to kind of play at a concert and just go crazy.
Yeah, West Virginia anthem right here.
Oh Lord. Okay, so coming off of Head for the Barricade. So Tim, the number 3 most popular song on Spotify for Limp Bizkit, with 364 million plus streams. 4 minutes and 29 seconds. The cover of The Who's Behind Blue Eyes. What did you think?
I hate The Who. I hate this song. That's all.
Okay, well, tell me what you really think.
Overrated band. No, thank you.
Alex.
Yeah. I get it. I really get it. And I feel like the issue with the song is that it was overplayed to the fuck of it back in 03, every radio station. Because this is like a song that you can play on the acoustic, the indie kind of rock stations. You can play this in the pop. You can play this in pretty much like the adult top 40 kind of charts. You can play the song everywhere. And I feel like everybody was playing the song. I personally, I don't mind the song at all. I feel like Fred has probably one of the best vocal performances ever in the song.
Yeah, that's one of his better performances. I would agree. Yeah.
Vocally, I think he really did an amazing job. I kind of find like some what's that? Speech, talk and speech. What's the?
It was a speak and spell in the chorus.
Exactly, that one. Yeah, that one. That's pretty original. Once again, I have to give some props to that. I find that to be a very original kind of like add on to any song. I don't really hear that often. And once again, the acoustic guitar sounds incredible. Production value, this song is really crisp. So I don't really hate the song. I can get why this song could get on some people's nerves, especially if you hate the Who and acoustic ballads. You would not like this song, but vocal wise, I think Fred did a really good job on this one.
You know what? I'm gonna expose myself here. Yeah, I would agree. I am not a Who fan, but I think this is him trying to really lean into his vocal cords and sing. And I actually think he does a passable job. Like you said, the speak and spell is a cool effect. I would not go out of my way to listen to this song. I would not purposefully select this song to listen to, but when it comes on, I go, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not the worst thing I've heard. Not the worst thing I've heard. And I mean, a lot of these guys, their favorite bands are like The Doors, The Who, like they have some older influence. So doesn't he have a Jim Morrison tattoo? No, he has Kurt Cobain and somebody else on his arm. So, I mean, Elvis. I get it. Elvis. Yeah. Elvis, I get it. I get it.
You're thinking of me with the Jim Morrison tattoo.
Is that you, Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to talk about him and his. I read some wild conspiracy theory stuff about the Doors, but okay. So now, why would we end the album on a Who cover? Because it makes total sense. We're already 16 tracks in. We have 2 more songs to go. We have All That Easy. Anybody have strong feelings on this? Anybody?
Filler.
Yeah.
And then Drown.
Yeah.
Any other strong feelings?
At this point, I'm happy the record's over.
My exact notes say, what a surprise, a ballad to end the album.
Yeah. Which is not surprising at all. I mean, you give it another go. And this is, to me, this record, I guess you could say, is for the ladies. I guess it's against the ladies. Who the fuck knows?
It's definitely way more radio friendly.
Yeah.
Way more radio friendly. So I'm going to start with you, Alex. Best song, and out of 10, what would you score it?
Okay, let me check. So Creamer might be my favorite song.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm saying that like whispery. Because I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm saying like Creamer. I really like the guitar work in that song. If I cannot pick Creamer, let's say Creamer was not there, I'll probably pick Eat You Alive maybe as my second favorite. I'll probably put both of them as number 1.
Okay.
And then I would rate the album. I would give the album like maybe a 7 out of 10. I find that so it's for me it's above average. Like I said in the beginning, I like the album. It's not my favorite Limp Bizkit album by any stretch. It was my first ever full listen experience to Limp Bizkit as a whole project as a kid. And after that I kind of got back into their discography and you know significant for me is my favorite album by far. I feel like that album is a masterpiece.
Amazing record.
Yeah, it is. Production value, everything. It just works. 7 out of 10. Strong points, some strong songs, a lot of fillers, and maybe too many ballads. But my biggest issue is probably the lyrics. As much as I find like Fred became more mature, I just find some lyrics to be a bit cliche.
You nailed it with the Columbine lyric. Yeah. Like you want to talk about something that has not aged well.
Yeah, or the pennies one that I still can't get over with Eat You Alive. Yeah. So
okay, 7 out of 10. Tim, best song score.
I'm gonna give it a 6. And my favorite song is Eat You Alive. Absolutely. Great song. Great new metal banger.
Yeah.
Like Alex said, too much filler, too many ballads. It's just and like you said, Jay, if you just nailed it down to the 9 best songs on here, I think this would be a fantastic record, man.
Agreed.
I really think it has high points. It really does, and
yeah,
I'm very surprised still. And I'm gonna. It's not one of them records where I would be like, I'm never listening to it again. This is a record I would put back on, but I would probably, like in my Apple Music, I would probably just delete the songs I don't like, and I would just keep it as that because I think there's really redeemingly good songs on here.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Tim. Out of all the albums that we have come across that we'd never heard before that we surprisingly go back to, what's the one you go back to the most?
It's so hard to answer, dude. Honestly, I couldn't even answer that.
For me, it's Nothing Face, Skeletons.
Well, see, I love that record.
I was never. So it's probably between, honestly, it's probably between that and Crazy Town, the second album.
Oh yeah. You know what?
Because I go back to those two all the time, and I'm like,
wow.
Yo, the first half of the second Crazy Town record is fucking amazing. Amazing record.
Yeah.
I mean, it drops off a little bit after that, but that's a fucking great record, dude. Them first 4 tracks are bangers.
I'm glad
right? That's Dark.
Dark Horse. Yep.
Yeah,
Dark Horse.
That's a fucking great record. Did we do that before?
Yeah, we did that with Jordan.
That's right.
Jordan was the one yelling at us. Jordan from Zone Zero telling us that the second album is better than the first, and none of us believed him until we.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, he's definitely right. Man. So for me, best song on the album is "Give Me the Mic." I would give this a solid 6.5. If you cut the filler, you're at an 8, almost a 9.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you as well. If you cut the filler, you're at about an 8 or 9. Absolutely.
I mean,
because there's some really good, great tracks, man.
And when we release the episode, I'll put my link to the Jay's master of Results May Vary. But I got it down to,
and I'll make
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 songs.
I'm curious
9 or 10, and it's
all the 9.
It moves, and I think that is and we've talked about this before. And Alex, you know this as a guy who's done your own album, right? Sequencing is key. How you sequence is key, and I think the reason why this album to me lost points is you have way too many slow song type ballads back to back for a band that's not known for that. If it was Coldplay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit, where is the snotty sound, the keyboard, the snotty scratching, and then I slept with your girlfriend. Not there.
Where's the nookie?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, where's the nookie? So I'm gonna end the episode on that because I think that's brilliant. Alex, we want to thank you once again for coming in.
Thank you so much, guys.
Any Ashes Like Rain news? Any project news? What's your let me ask you this. What's the next project we can expect to hear music from?
I was just gonna say, not to cut you off, guys, but let's not end it here because there's a couple things I want to talk about. But go ahead, Alex.
Sure. I'm working on 2 projects. So
of course you are.
Yeah, I have to. Time is valuable, and the more that you think how fast time kind of goes by, you're just like, you know what I mean? You just want to put as much music. But I'm kind of writing an EP at the moment. Actually, maybe I should send you guys a demo, or I could play a demo maybe later, as if I'm not sure if I can play through a Zoom, but I'll try.
Yeah, you can.
So I have about maybe 6 songs for an EP, and then I'm writing an album, which is gonna be a bit different than. So the EP is probably gonna be a lot heavier than my first EP. Still new metal, still like alternative, but it's just gonna be a bit more angry, I guess. Some heavier riffs. And then the album is probably gonna be a bit more on the alternative metal end of things. So I'm kind of doing both at the same time. So that's kind of like what I have in the works.
Okay.
Well, you surprised us with the "Breathe Into You" single. I seen that came out of nowhere.
That one's not gonna be a part of anything. I just did that one for fun.
Okay.
I just did that one. That's new metal for me. I was just like, man, let me just do a new metal song and kind of just put it out there. And I was just like, I just kind of wrote it, and I was just like, I really like the song, but it was not like one that I was just like gonna put it on the album, because I don't think it would fit on anything that I would do later on down the line. So I was just like, and I might release more songs like that, just like singles that would never, like B-sides in a way, if you want to call them B-sides. Because I think last time we spoke about like artists back in the day putting like B-sides on, soundtracks, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like I kind of want to do something like that, and just kind of like when I release a single, for example, for a song, I'll probably put a B-side attached to it, like a song that's never gonna make it. So just to kind of make it old school in a way, in like a modern era. But yeah, but that song was just like it just came. I was just like, I'm just gonna try something different, and it just came out. So
awesome.
yeah,
no, it's good though, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah,
I've been listening to the first EP a lot, and when I first listened to it, the first track always just hit me, man. Like, dude, that's a fucking great song. But the more I listen to it, dude, yeah, Deliverance is an absolute fucking banger, dude. That is such a fucking good song, dude.
Thank you.
Like, when that chorus comes on, dude, I'm like, dude, this dude knows how to write chorus. Like, if you can write a chorus, like I've said a million times on this podcast, dude, that just, dude, amazing song, dude. Seriously, man.
Because I feel like you guys had a podcast with Blake from Stepa. Maybe few weeks ago at this point. I mean, time goes by so fast. And I think you guys spoke about that, about like bands, new metal bands, again with the revival that we're kind of having at the moment, since we're kind of in a new metal revival. A lot of bands kind of focus a lot on the heavy aspect of the music, where you have a lot of screaming, you have the new metal elements, but you don't really have the catchy factor that a lot of new metal mainstream bands used to have back in the day. Your Taproots, your Limp Bizkits, your Linkin Parks, your Stains, your Non-Points, and so on. They had that chorus that would kind of grab your attention, and the song would still be heavy, but it would have like a mainstream kind of appeal to it. And I feel like that was a good point. And me personally, I would like to have more bands like that nowadays, to kind of go back to that old element of like, I can write a heavy ass fucking song, but I can also give you like a hook that you can kind of sing.
Dude, and you nailed that. You nailed that on that song, man, because that chorus, like, I don't remember you say something about your sins. I know you say that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But dude, that song, like, that just makes you like, that's one of them songs, man, where I just feel that shit, dude, because it's just like, the more I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, Love If Only, Medicaid's great, and I don't know how you pronounce the third track.
Sigid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All good tracks, but man, when I kept listening, I'm like, yo, this Deliverance track is so fucking good, dude.
Thank you.
Seriously, one of my favorite EPs of the year. Like, really good stuff, dude.
Thank you, appreciate
it. And it's crazy because Jay will tell you, like, if you're on the new metal Reddit, dude, them people love that shit, dude.
I was because I have a lot of my friends that are kind of like texting me and be like, hey, like, your album was talked about this and that, and I was just like, and again, I told a lot of my friends about your guys' podcast, and everybody was really happy that there's a podcast that actually promotes artists, but also you guys have such a in-depth knowledge of the genre, and not just new metal, but just metal in general, and hardcore, and so many. And I feel like you guys are really hoping to spread that around, and also in a way push me as an artist forward to actually get better as a musician, and try to, how could I put it, be a part of this revival, because it's a genre that I don't really want it to die. And we already had it for the past decade, and we talked about it last time about the whole everybody sounds the same nowadays. We need something different, and I feel like if there's more bands coming out, it's just going to amplify this movement that we're kind of seeing at the moment, especially with all the concerts, and all the Trust Company just played a few days ago, I think, or a week ago. They played a show. It sounded incredible, and it's just like it kind of brings the power back to a genre that it was the last big movement for metal, in my opinion. Mainstream wise.
Definitely mainstream. The next movement behind it was deathcore by Job for Cowboy. That was driven by MySpace. That was the OG internet driving a music trend.
And I seriously think that new metal came back so hard because the young kids that grew up or were born in, like, say, it's so weird to say this, but the young kids that were born in like 2002, it's now 2023, so they're what, 21 at this point? It's them kids, excuse me, that are just getting into it, and now they pick up a guitar, and the genre's coming back, dude. And I think that's the big thing, is the kids, the young kids are like, dude, we got to put our stamp on this genre. And I think the genre is just getting even better, man.
Yeah,
like seriously, there's so many like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, dude, like, have you heard the new Zone Zero EP?
I did. Incredible.
Dude, like, that is fucking good, dude.
Yeah. Catchy
that
choruses.
Is
like every song has a catchy chorus. Every song
like,
has a catchy melody. It's very well produced as well. I really like the production quality. It's not super polished. It's not raw. Again, it's just in between. It really, I think they did an amazing job. I'm not sure who worked on their album, but really amazing EP.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here, dude, but like if you put that record and your EP out in fucking 1999, they're hits, dude.
I mean, there are a lot of bands these days playing this newer generation of nu metal, right? Which is like not even a throwback because you guys are making your own parts of it. Your stuff and Zone Zero and I would say Graphic Nature and Death Blooms, and there are some bands that are look at Gary, what Gary's doing with Memorage, right? Like there are bands taking this giant, melting pot approach and banging out music that really, literally, you could have released it in 2001, and somebody went, "Holy shit! Like this is wild. This is wild."
Yeah, just like I said last episode, when I was down that rabbit hole on YouTube, on the who's the channel that
Melomano Adicto Alvaro,
dude, when that came on, I was like, hold on a fucking second, when did this come out? And when I seen it came out this year, I was blown away, dude. I was like, wow, dude.
Actually, I think I joked with Alvaro and I told him just write that the album came out in 2000 or something.
I would have believed it, dude.
just as a joke, but
and speaking of that, Alex, there's guys like him, there's guys like True New, there's guys like Has Sub. There are tons of people out there who are literally crate diving into nu metal from that time, and they're resurrecting these things that we all thought were lost to the sands of time, and it's kind of neat to experience it. And I mean, I will say to the fans that yes, these obscure bands are great, but remember, there was a reason why Linkin Park got as ginormous as they did. If you're gonna rip off a band, rip off Linkin Park. Don't rip off, some
Primer 55.
Yeah, or I mean, a band that I love, Ultraspank, right?
Godsmack.
Like, there's a reason why they only did 2 albums. You
don't need to say stay away in your records ever.
Do you think? What do you think that guy's doing right now, Sully Erna?
They're living his life. Godsmack is done.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I feel like the band.
He's living life in the hills of LA, bro.
Is he LA? I thought he was a New England guy.
Who knows? I'm just saying. That's what
I can just picture him and like the guy with the things in his neck, chin from Disturbed and Aaron Lewis all hanging out like in the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts, right? Like drinking
50-year-old nu metal guys,
drinking Coors Light with ripped jeans, like Harley's leaking oil in the driveway. All right, Tim, what did you want to say before you wrapped it up?
Oh no, I already said it.
All right. So again, we want to thank Alex for coming on again. This is the second time he'll be here. Definitely not the last. We want to thank all of you listeners, watchers for tuning in, watching, listening. Check out this album. Let us know what you think. New Breed _ podcast on both the Twitters and the Instagrams. newbreedpodcast@gmail.com for all your likes, listens, complaints, or concerns. We do take them very seriously while we're laughing. Find us on Nu Metal Reddit, r/Nu Metal. And lastly, find us on our Facebook group, which has actually been pretty bumping. So until next time, this is New Breed Podcast saying cheers.
See ya.
Take care.